Hey everybody, so we're out on the ride. Haven't done a vlog in a long time. Out on an electric bike called Rize, a 20-inch electric fat bike. It's like the 1970s mini bike kind of style. It's a little retro style. Got like a motorcycle style handlebar, a very high rise handlebar. Yeah, so it's got 20-inch fat bike tires. So all my other bikes I have studded tires for. I don't have studded tires for a 20-inch fat bike. So we've specifically chosen these trails because I know they're not icy. Holy thing, the motor on this thing is freaking responsive because I changed the setting to the quickest response possible. You ask, you trip the cadence sensor or the throttle to get its quick response. Actually, probably isn't the best thing in the snow. But this thing's for riding to work. And I want that instant response and grunt for crossing intersections and beating traffic. We're going to go underneath the Trans-Canada Highway. So, yeah, I'll get off and show you this thing. We're a little further in the trail system. So waited till it was dark because this is a busy trail system. Daytime, so many people walking their dogs. Best to just come out at night. Right now, I'm just using the headlight that comes on the bike and 500 lumen headlamp. Doesn't say lumens for, it says 120 lux for the headlight on this thing, so I don't know what that ends up being in lumens. It's only adequate in the snow. I do have a second light, bicycle light attached to the handlebar, which I think I'm going to turn on because I want more light. So really the light that comes on this thing is just so that traffic can see you, so that's much better. I think this bicycle headlight that I have is just a cheap one that I found on sale for 69 bucks. The battery that came with it is shit, so I'm using one of my Gemini branded light batteries with it. That's much better. I think we got it at maybe 1,000 lumens. So the goal tonight is to do an hour-and-a-half ride on these trails. So right now we're going like 20 kilometers an hour, which on pavement isn't fast, but on snow is actually quite fast compared to a human-powered fat bike. And a human-powered fat bike, I'd be going maybe 14, 15 kilometers an hour. So it's a solid 5. We're going a solid 5, 6 kilometers an hour faster. So it actually feels fast compared to human-powered. Although this thing will go well over 40 kilometers an hour. Give a little test acceleration for you here. This thing hauls ass. too. So this is an out and back trail. We're going to turn around. Comes out on one of the busiest streets, intersections of the city. Yeah, so this doesn't have adjustable seat height. It has like a banana seat. And I'm not super tall. I'm maybe 5'6". And boy, it'd be nice if the seat was higher. And I watch videos on YouTube of guys that are like over 6 feet tall that own these things. And they say, oh, I've got no problem pedaling it, but they obviously don't do a lot of normal bicycle riding, because if they had their seat height correct on a normal bike, they'd say this seat height is way too low. But I'm pedaling, using the pedal assist. I am getting exercise. And I'm really out of shape right now, guys, so I'm just using this to slowly get me back into some sort of meaningful physical condition. Okay, here comes a snowy section here. Just throttling through it. There we go. Yeah, this thing has tons of grunt. It's too much grunt for the snow right now. And I just, you know, if you're riding a fat bike all the time, you're used to, your world slows down on a fat bike, on a human-powered fat bike. Everything happens slower. I'm not used to the speed that this thing is capable of doing in the snow, because on a fat bike you really never do those kinds of speeds except downhill. Yeah, so there's a 20-inch, it's got 80mm wide rims, 4-inch tires. It's got a suspension fork on it, but solid rear end. They do a full suspension version of this, so I'm up with $1,000 more. I think you're just asking for more trouble. I doubt. The suspension on it is very high quality. Fun to ride. It's a comfortable riding position. The seat is wide, so it's already like rubbing, chafing the inside of my legs. I could see if you did like tons of riding on this thing, you use the same pair of pants, you'd literally wear away a hole in them. So yeah, we're gonna do an hour and a half. We're gonna stay around 20 kilometers an hour. I'm using the lights. There's a rear light on this thing and a front light, so I'm curious to see what kind of battery life I'm going to get and how much extra drain I'm going to get from using the light system on this thing. But as we saw, it's not that powerful, so we added our own supplemental lights. And we're riding on snow, and I've lowered the tire pressure so it's somewhat soft, so we get flotation and soften the ride. It's the great thing about electric fat bikes is all of the negatives of the fat tires, so the extra weight, extra rolling resistance, extra rotating weight gets canceled out by the assistance of the motor. So yeah, I haven't made a video in so long. Again, my GoPro Hero 7 sat for a long time, battery sat for a long time. I'm like, well, I better buy some new batteries. So on Amazon, I found some generic batteries. They were like 2 for $25. So I bought 2 sets, so 4 new batteries. None of them work. the camera doesn't recognize them and they don't charge. So now I'm charged up the actual Hero branded batteries. We'll see how much more damage they have from sitting for almost a year. Brought 4 batteries with me. Obviously, as you can see, it's below freezing. It's maybe -5, -6. The temperature's supposed to drop to around -16. I doubt it'll get that cold when we're out. But obviously, it affects battery life. Yeah, so a large portion of this trail system is lit, so expect to still see people walking. This area is known as County Park. It's very high crime area. Literally 200, 300 meters from where we are riding right now, there has been a murder. But it's not random violence. It's always, generally always amongst people that know each other. I ended up going on the sidewalk for a little bit. I think those sidewalks are icy, so we'll see how things go. We're not using studded tires. Had this delivered to my work, and I assembled it there, and then rode it home. So let's slow down. I've been on this section here. These are the sidewalks. Yeah, I rode it home, and it's kind of weird. The city's kind of at 2 elevations. The city I live in part I live in is like higher elevation than the other side of town. So we had a thaw there for a couple weeks, and the other side of town, the lower side of town, it got more melty and icy, and on this side of town it kind of stayed more snowy. So I settled this at work and then drove it home over really icy conditions. And like I had said, I ride all the time with studded tires, so the idea of spending a bunch of time riding over ice without studded tires, I like it. But I rode slow and managed fine. I lowered the tire pressure so that the tires just conformed over everything. The other thing is it got really soft, like so soft that people's footprints were turning it into like mush, and then it cooled off again, so all that mush froze. So it's textured ice. It's not like smooth flat surface ice, it's textured, which makes it less slippery because you actually get some traction on it. Okay, so back on the trail system, nice and snowy. Yeah, so there's a guy in Calgary that owns one of these. I think he's now upgraded to the full suspension model. And he takes this thing off-road, takes it on all kinds of trails in Banff and stuff like that. He has the 52 volt 1000 watt one, so it's got tons of grunt off-road for getting uphill and shit. So I forget what his channel's called. I'll leave a link. So he has lots of fun on this thing. It's quite capable. Like with studded tires and a 1000 watt motor, you could do a lot of shit on this thing. Okay, we're gonna come up shortly on a short steep hill. See how this thing handles it. Okay, Okay, so short, really steep hill. Use the brakes to take that corner. Yeah, it has no problem. Now in a subdivision, cooperative subdivision called Castle Green. Just gonna do a little loop here. Now we're climbing. It's like the cable's stretching for the rear shifter, so it's 7 gears. We're gonna increase the cable tension a little bit here. Yeah, so there's 7 gears, and it's like they have like a custom or a little more fine-tuned freewheel. Actually, it's only 7 gears, but it has a 32 tooth big cog, and then it actually has an 11 for the small cog, so you can actually pedal at a good cadence up a steeper hill. And if you open this thing up, it has a 52 tooth big rigs and an 11 tooth. Most 7-speed freewheels will only have like a 13 or 14 is their smallest cog, maybe a 12, but this one has an 11. Although I notice at the speed I'm going at right now, there's a big jump in size between 2 of the gears. One's way too easy, the next one is way too hard. Okay, so since we don't have studded tires, I don't have to ride with range anxiety in mind, meaning riding the studded tires on pavement. I just have to worry about electric vehicle range anxiety, battery range. So we're going back down that steep hill. So basically we're just going to do a whole bunch of loops for an hour and a half. We're at 8.85 kilometers. The battery still says 100%. Of course, we're not going fast. Like right now we're going 20 kilometers an hour. So we're at aerodynamics, and the wind resistance isn't really coming into play. It's all just rolling resistance. Yeah, we've had a super mild January. Last January was horrific. I'll maybe overlay last January's overnight lows here. And so I was basically riding a bike to work all those mornings, and I go ride between 6 and 7, which is generally the coldest part of the day or night or morning. So I was subjected to those brutal temperatures for weeks on end, and February wasn't much better. So for this January and February, I actually only work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays. I have 4-day weekends all January and all March, mainly because last winter broke me.